Like they say, man, the truth shall set you free, man. That holds something.
Okay, so back to
there's a bunch of lies that they have to rely on, and a bunch of things they need to hide in order to keep a conviction and make their way towards a conviction.
Okay, so back to your question.
What was it?
You asked if I believe that the option was telling the truth or something like that.
Okay. Do you believe you have the option of revealing the truth about this quote unquote signature?
I do.
Okay. And what do you believe will happen if you reveal the truth about this quote unquote signature that it isn't a signature at all? What happens to that paperwork?
You said it would be.
Or he's gonna put you in temper.
Hey! Listen. My girl just brought this up. She said, whenever I went to my first appearance, when I appeared, basically, they called my name. And
Hold on. Appeared is another one of those really bad words. I doubt you appeared.
I know the difference. Spirits appear. I know the difference. That's why I put
it. Okay, don't say it to me then. But okay, you say quote unquote appeared. Okay, go ahead.
Really, I want to. What's the point she's making?
Okay, whenever I got the continuation from, because I didn't know what I was doing. Remember, they pushed me on. They just pushed me on and gave me another court date. They put me over to the side and said, sign this. It says notice to appear, and I read it, and it's a contract stating that I need to come back on this date. I'm like, I don't want to sign this. They're like, if you don't sign this, we're gonna revoke your bond and put you in jail.
Okay, hold on. So the problem with that is the bond issue. See, they're going to revoke your bond, and the consequence of having a revoked bond is to be put in jail, right? Now, here's the question: was the bond correct to begin with? So don't argue from the point of the bond being correct. Dig down to that bond question. So it's completely within their right to revoke a bond. The question is the bond correct to begin with?
Yeah.
So if you start arguing about, hey, they shouldn't revoke the bond, you've already lost. So you got to go back to the first thing the first lie. You know what I mean? If you start arguing about later lies without arguing about the foundation lie, it makes it very difficult to.
How do I go back to the first lie, Gary?
Well, I mean, what's the first lie here? I mean, the bond, and I'm sure there's one before that, and then one that's built on. But the first lie, of course, is that the codes are applicable. If you can dig all the way to that one, then you're in good shape.
That's definitely what I'm going in there to talk about. I'm definitely not going to talk about that other stuff.
But here you by the in-between lie. The in-between lies, I mean, the code is applicable. They've built upon that all these steps that got to the bond, and then the bond getting revoked is a threat, which they have the right to do, but it's all built upon a lie to begin with. So if you argue about an in-between point, they're all losers, because if that first lie were true, you'd be screwed. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely understanding.
Okay, cool.
Okay, all right. So we have to bring this back to the beginning of me being arrested and the laws being applicable. So
yeah, it's all based upon that foundation. Yeah, they cut straight to the question of, okay, first let's address the applicability of the law that set all of this into motion, and let's address that question before we clean up every step of the way. And they've already piled on so many lies. Why would you have to untie every damn knot when there's nothing at the bottom?
Yeah, somebody told me that same thing in another way, in a shallower sense. They told me that they'll put all these charges on you, so you have to fight them down. Damn, was I even talking?
I heard you.
Oh, I thought my finger came off. But yeah, somebody was telling me about, like, that I had to fight all the charges off from whatever they put on, even though I wasn't even selling when they called me. They just threw it on there. So now that that's on there, I have to fight to get it off. So basically, that goes with what you're saying is all these other things about the bonds and this and that, when the thing that I should be really worried about is the applicability of the law. I'm just kind of like making a sense of all that, of what I've been told before.
Oh, Gary got cut out, so he's no longer in the convo. He's not in the room. His battery died or something happened. He'll be back.
It's okay, but yeah, I'm just telling you, I haven't.
I mean, I don't know exactly where he was. I know where he was going, but I didn't know how he was going to get there. He was basically just going to drop back to, if a judge says something about the bond that's on the surface, our job is to transition to the deeper truth of, is that even applicable to me? Because has the prosecution even provided any factual evidence regarding? Because everything the judge wants to do and is doing is based on these things called statutes and codes, based on something called a constitution, based on 4 pages of parchment with ink on them, written well over 30 years ago. Well over. And so by transitioning to that fact, we keep it on our path instead of theirs. Now, when a judge is asking you about bond, in the heat of that moment, he or she is not going to want to hear that. And it's going to be a socially awkward, tense situation, which I know normally you wouldn't shy away from, but there is a bailiff and the threat of jail in the room. Therefore, it's kind of it's something we have to navigate with skill. And we're trying to get you to understand the broad painting of the picture so that no matter where they go, you can draw it back to where we go, which is the applicability of the statutes and codes, which is what Gary said.
Yeah, Mark Stevens, he's really gave me a little. That's the only way I've ever even found out anything about this, because I found out one of Mark Stevens' videos talking about jurisdiction. He basically told me about how they were criminals and they're just people in robes dressing up. He kind of gave me a good sense of all this, and I got a good understanding about it. And then more digging and more videos, I found Bearded Antic, one of his videos, and then that's how I'm here now. So yeah, I got an understanding what what's his name, Bowman, just said. He was talking about screw everything else that happened after. You have to come back to the original thing of the original bond that I signed, and under, what is it called, under duress. But somebody says I only signed that form to get out of jail. I was under duress, sir. What is he trying to say about that?
Well, ultimately one of the things he might be trying to say about it is, do you have a right to learn more about how to effectively defend yourself as time goes by, and to take actions and say words in accordance with that increased learning?
Okay, my mom was talking to me. Please repeat that.
No problem. Do you feel like you or anyone should be able to learn how to more effectively defend themselves, and then defend themselves in accordance with what they have learned?
Yes, of course, I believe that.
Okay, so yeah, I know that's an obvious one. So if you can, then it doesn't really matter what you've done in the past when you were acting without as much knowledge as you have now. So if you signed something before, or if there's a bond placed before, or a bond placed in the future, or whatever, the transition is back to the applicability of what they're trying to do. And so at all points in time, you can reference back to the core issue of the applicability and the codes. And I don't expect you to do that in the heat of the moment, always when they're like, oh yeah, this bond talk and that bond talk, and if you don't sign this, I'm gonna do this, and blah blah blah.
So you're saying when I go into the courtroom next time, don't worry about all that. I need to stick to the the applicability of the law.
Well, the applicability of the statutes and codes. So let's have a talk real quick about the difference.
I definitely will not make that mistake again.
What mistake?
Of saying laws instead of saying well, I said law and I should have said statutes.
So do you understand what they mean by law then?
Law is, I mean, it's a written instrument. So I mean, I don't know actually. So you might as well just go ahead and explain.
Okay, so I learned this from Gary, much like a lot of the things I've told you here today. So they use this word law a lot, right? Obey the law, law enforcement officer. Oh, we have the laws and all this. But when I look that up, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm planning to go to jail because they say I broke the law. So I'm going to investigate my reason for going to jail. What does this word law mean? Okay, well, I can look in a bunch of dictionaries. Well, the only one that matters is their dictionary because they have the power to throw me in jail. And their dictionary happens to be Black's Law Dictionary. And according to that, the law is something that points to words written down on paper that are supposed to have power over you. Would you agree with that so far?
I definitely would not agree that it applies to me, but I agree that's what the reality of it.
Okay, I didn't say it applies. I said it's just words written down on paper that's supposed to have power over you.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Okay, so do they ever write down words on paper that are supposed to have power over you and then call that a law? Do they say here's a law number 1, 2, 3, 4, XYZ, you broke it, therefore you're going to jail? Do they say that?
Not at all. Everything's verbal with them. They don't like give you a piece of paper and like, all right, here you go. Like the law is them. They are the law. They're acting upon old written instruments, but the law is coming out of their mouth.
Written instruments. So by written instruments, do you mean ink on paper somewhere?
Yes.
Okay. So this is my question. Google this. See if you can find me anything that any politician has ever written down that they then called a law and put into the books. And if you break it, you're going to jail. Do they call it a law? Do they say we charge you of some kind of cannabis, blah, blah, blah. You broke U.S. or state or county or city or whatever law, therefore you're going to jail. Do they claim that when they say max penalties or in accordance with such and such? Do they ever call it anything law?
Damn, you're doing me, and I understand. I've never even looked at it like that.
Okay, I know this is kind of a shock at first.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've never known to put it like that.
Let me just get to the point. There are no words written on paper by any politician that they claim, this is not my opinion, that they claim is a law. They all claim those words are part of statutes and codes. They call them the criminal code or such and such a statute. They call it that. They don't call it the law. The word law is a vague umbrella word that they want to brainwash us with. That it's just like a big umbrella word that covers rules that you should obey and be afraid of. That's why we're going to put the word law and like law enforcement officer.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, right there, because that I've never even I've come across words that I've got the understanding to, but that's a very important word that I'm understanding now, because
Okay, fair enough. Now check this out. It goes even deeper. This is awesome. Okay. So before there was law, there was science, which is another method of investigation, just like the Socratic method of investigation. And science came up with these words, laws, to describe manifest reality, like what's actually going on, determined through experiments. So they come up with laws like the law of gravity, the law of thermodynamics, these laws that are based on irrefutable experiments you can repeat and come up with the same conclusions. If you drop a ball, it will fall to the ground. It's a certainty. The legal system of judges and bar members said, well, they got together and thought, we want our rule to be as certain as in people's heads as when you drop a ball, it'll fall to the ground. We want our rules to have the same power as like a law of gravity or a law of economics, things that will definitely happen no matter what. So the word law comes from science. It has no business in the legal field at all.
Wow, we went from the law of gravity, or the law of like you said before there was science. So they took law and made it like law of gravity, and they made it the law of the land, because like you said, the law of gravity, no matter what happens, gravity is gravity. So now the law of the land, no matter what you do, we can do this to you because it's been proven and it's been done before. In experiments it's been proven over and over again that it works, and it's evident.
Yes. So they borrowed the credibility of the word law within science and applied it to the legal system to give themselves more power.
I've noticed that they're masters of military and political sciences. That's why they've kept us in this box for so long and continue to keep us there, because they're geniuses in a way. Not really geniuses. They're just like us, but they just know how to use words. They're just magicians, basically, spellcasters, I guess you could say.
And that's why we're talking about words, is because we're all ruled by words. So let's put it there, and then just move on to now. If that's what they did with the word law, and they use the word law a lot, you broke the law. This is the law. Law enforcement officer, Law and Order, the TV show. I don't. What actually, like, when it comes down to it in a courtroom, can you give us a best guess as to, if the law isn't words written on paper, but it has power over you, what would be your best guess as to the actual reality definition of the term law in your life and in those courts? What is it actually doing? What is it?
I kind of just said it. Law, basically, like you said, before there was law, there was science. Science stated once you do an experiment 3 times, it basically is proven, and it can be, and everybody can replicate it. It's a proven fact. So now that they have a system, because before, like you said, there wasn't anything. So now they start putting people in jail, and everybody's like, bro, these rules don't apply to me. But over time, there's more people with guns, and there's more people they're using force. So over time, people succumb. So that's the reality. That's what law is now. Is because everybody's succumbing, and everybody just kind of forgot about it.
That may
and they
be.
just do as they say.
That may be. And I'm not trying to cut you off because you're wrong. Everything you're saying is right. But you're telling me a story. I don't want a story. I want a definition.
Definition of
Define
law.
as best you can what the law actually is in a courtroom in your life.
The definition of law in my life and my understanding.
In a courtroom. Forget I said in your life. What's the definition of law in a courtroom?
The power that people in robes seem to have over you.
Oh, damn, Gary, did you hear that? Look how close I got him. That was a That was good. He got close. All right. When cops use the word law and judges and lawyers, here's a definition of law. And if you can bring up in any way that this doesn't apply, please let me know. And this is like I said earlier, this is a Garyism. The law seems to be the opinion of the senior most ranking bar member, which would normally be a judge, in the room, or a good guess as to what a judge's opinion would be. So the opinion of a judge or a guess as to what a judge's opinion would be.
Wow, that's pretty deep because it was judges before him. So the judge is the referee. So his opinion of
Well, he's a referee with all power. I mean, a referee is supposed to be independent, impartial, unbiased, fair, right? But we know they can do whatever they want. And yet, the law seems to be the opinion of the senior most ranking bar member in the room. Now, if you're in an office with a lawyer, the lawyer is the senior most ranking bar member. He's going to say what the law is, and he, according to him or her, the law is this and the law is that. But as soon as a judge walks in the room, the lawyer will defer to the judge, correct?
seniority. Seniority is the
so quote unquote law.
And in a room, be loose with the phrase in a room. I usually say involved in a situation or involved in it, but in the room is cool just to kind of bring it home a little bit.
Yeah,
that's all I
like an office, you're meeting with your lawyer. I'm trying to get the seniority impact made, I guess.
I understand seniority. I learned that from just being around old people.
So
what that excludes is your opinions, the opinions of legislatures, the things that are written down prior. It all boils down to just, I mean, yeah, you might use those things to speculate about what a judge would say, but don't get carried away with what the words are. If you know good and well a judge isn't going to care about them, they're useless.
I got a deeper understanding of that. Basically, you're saying no matter what's been done before, he has the power, he has a seniority right now, so what he says goes.
But he's going to be aware of what, oh, look at that, geese crossing the road. He's going to be aware of what other judges are about to say.
I mean, in a sense, he is. I'm trying to get to the seniority aspect of it. Of course, he has to go by a guideline in a way, but really, like
the only guideline.
He doesn't. Yeah,
that's the point. The only guideline is what he thinks other judges will say.
Yeah,
that's it.
Okay,
that's the end of the list.
I can articulate it, but whenever I get things like a light bulb goes off in my head.
Okay, so the point is to let go of what the legislature said and what whoever said before it. You've got to look down the barrel of his gun, which is, he cares about what his superiors are going to say or what he speculates they're going to say. He doesn't care about what old dead guys said, other than what old dead guys might relate to what future guys have to say about it.
Okay,
so keep in mind that if you're talking about, but the law says blah blah blah, or but what this old court here said blah blah blah, he only cares about those in the secondary sense of what is his boss going to have to say about it. So citations have no power except through the political process.
Okay.
Through pressuring him and exposing him. Look, boss increases his boss being in our favor. And he knows that. Or he might know that. So making do his job improves our lot in life.
Okay.
If you go all the way through a trial at like a circuit court and you get found guilty and you go to an appeal and the superior court overturns that ruling and dismisses the charges or dismisses the quote-unquote case against you, did you break the law? I mean, the circuit court judge said you did. They found you guilty. Right? But you went on appeal, and the Superior Court said, nope, you didn't. We reverse all this. Charges dismissed.
So
What
are
is the
you
law?
asking me that?
What is the law? Did you break the law or not? No. Society and everyone will think you didn't. But
The
the
law is
previous...
just, like you said, based on opinion. It's the opinion of whoever has the seniority.
No, not the whoever. The senior most ranking bar member. That's where I was going with that. The senior most ranking bar member. Judges and lawyers are all bar members, right? So whenever I hear the word law, and man, my friends say the word law all the time, and I just let it slide. But in my head, all I ever think is the opinion of the senior most ranking bar member in the room, or conjecture, a guess, as to what that opinion might be. It's all about statutes and codes, is the point, and the applicability of those to you, to get specific. Because law is a vague fear word of indoctrination. And that's really the point I was trying to make when I opened up this can of worms about 5-10 minutes ago.
I'm actually glad you did, because I've been using that word my whole life, just like believe. Like my black friend, he's enlightened. He taught me the difference between believing and knowing. That's why I don't have any religious aspects in my life anymore, because beliefs are based off opinions. Like, oh, I believe that blah, blah, blah. Like, and people use the word believe when they should be saying no.
Oh, hold on. We don't care about what the judge actually has in his head. We care about what comes out of his mouth.
Of course. No, I'm saying and based in my understanding of like how this has been going, like, and how like I know that words are very important, because he said I sounded dumb to him when I would say things.
Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
He's an older gentleman. He's
okay.
He's basically
Okay, nothing legal.
Not the judge. Yeah, I was out of attack. But okay, go ahead. Your friend.
Yeah, he told me he's like, you kind of sound dumb, because, and then he explained the difference between believing and knowing things, and it's like, damn, like I've been using that word my whole life, just like you're explaining law to me. I've been using this word my whole life, and it's just been kind of not in my favor when I use it.
He's getting red pilled, Gary.
Right on. He's got, the epistemology stuff already, at least, and you're hearing a bit of the he's been down the road with the religion thing, I guess, is kind of helpful.
Yeah, I'm glad you that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna sit here and like y'all correct me. I need corrections in my life. I need like criticism, because once you criticize me, then I'm knowing now. I know.
Okay, but what if I were to put it this way? I'm not in the business of correcting or teaching or enlightening or any of that. I'm in the business of having civil discourse and discussing the issues. And if you agree that what I'm saying is more correct than what you're saying, then okay. If not, that's fine. Even if we agree to disagree, that's fine. That's still a win. We're just here to talk about truth. I don't need
we can get back on subject. Yeah. I'm just telling you what's up. We can get back on subject, because what's his name?
We are on subject. We are on subject.
That is the subject.
That is the subject.
How to talk about the truth is the subject.
How to talk about the truth, yeah. So
True.
I'm not a salesman. Like, I'm not trying to sell you on nothing. If you disagree with me, by all means, please. I got no ego in the game. I really don't at this point when it comes to this stuff. Please disagree. Because then maybe you teach me something I don't know. So we're just trying to get after what's up.
I will, because he also explained exoteric and esoteric thinking to me, so I understand that.
Cool.
Did he teach you something about forming beliefs on evidence? It seems. Yeah, that's basically what he told me, because it says believing is not knowing. Right. You say we all know 2 + 2 is 4, but once you start saying, "Oh, there's a God outside of this universe,"
I'll blow your mind. All right, let's try this. Is it factual that 2 + 2 = 4?
It is because we all can agree it equals 4. If we all can agree on something, then it's a fact.
Incorrect. I disagree. So the concept of 2 and the concept of 2 equaling 4, what is it actual in the real world?
In the real world,
Yeah.
I have no clue because
Okay.
it's not that it's actually true. That's just the example that
Okay, thank you.
So
So that was record time. That debate was instantly won, right? So 2 plus 2 equals 4 is not a factual statement. It's useful and it's logical, but it's not. It doesn't describe reality. It just can be used to describe reality, right?
it's a
as
means
close
of
a pointer as we'll ever get to.
Right. But I can say, hey, these 2 coconuts on this table here and these 2 coconuts on this table here can be described as 4 coconuts on this table here. That would be a true statement. And then it would be true that, if it's real, then it would be true that there are 4 coconuts on the table. That would be true as well. But the idea of 2 plus the idea of 2 being 4 is a construct. Mathematics is a construct. Just like ethics is a construct. And that's where I'm bringing it back to our conversation. Just like legal systems are a construct. So, the absolutity is nonsense.
Yeah, I understand. We definitely need means of conversation. If we don't have any means of conversation, we're just looking at each other, blinking.
And
if we didn't have means of that, then
the reason it's important is because they're trying to blur the lines between legality and reality and ethics. They want their legal opinions to be confused with reality and with what's ethical.
Like laws, scientific laws.
Okay.
Right. Well, yeah, they conflate scientific. People do that all the time where they're like, you disagree with laws, you can't disagree with gravity, the scientific laws. It's like they're not, one's descriptive, one's describing reality, and the other one's telling us what should happen. Right? And you're saying that we should enforce your opinions and make them reality. That's a very different thing. And it's like, well, there already is a concept called should. What I should do is called ethics, not legality. If I have a choice between what's ethical and what's legal, to hell with the legal.
Yes.
That's a very unpopular opinion, Gary. How dare you? How dare you?
But getting them to admit that these things are separate, because they'll try to talk to them like they're all one thing. Legality and reality and ethics all coincide with what the judge said should happen. And it's our job
what's wrong
becomes
with you?
to separate them.
We got a flag. We got a song. We got guns. We got jails. You're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah, the reality is we'll send you to jail, so it must be right, and it must be legal, and it must be what is. We have jurisdiction because we will use a gun. And what does the word jurisdiction mean then? All right, so all that buildup was to discuss the word jurisdiction.
Are you going to ask me what jurisdiction means to me?
He just did.
Just did.
Okay, jurisdiction to me is, what it means to me is them having the power to bring the case into court and to hear it.
All right, so help us out. You just used the word power. What do you mean?
And he used the word case.
Here we go on the merry-go-round. What's power? The might? Is that what you mean?
Power to me, I would say, is just having the authority to.
All right, authority. What do you mean by authority?
What is power? If I have power over you,
so we've made a whole group of synonyms: jurisdiction, authority, power,
and case.
Are they all might?
Use
the word might, M-I-G-H-T, might? Yeah, we'll get to case in a minute.
Power means to have the ability to control it. Power means having the ability to control the things around you.
Ooh.
Okay, so the ability to do it, whether it's right or wrong. Okay, so to you, jurisdiction. So the mob would have jurisdiction. So if I bring a machine gun in, I have to say.
Yeah, because you can change things around
Fuck
you.
yeah! If I had a machine gun in a quarter, my ass has jurisdiction.
Okay, so the word jurisdiction to you is just the might, the physical power to overcome. So a rapist has jurisdiction. Mobster have jurisdiction. It's all, you use the word jurisdiction to mean anybody who has the upper hand. Is that what? Okay, that's fine.
I'm understanding.
It's a very limited definition. It's going to kind of screw you over and mislead you a bit. But I mean, just know that other people mean a little bit more when they're saying jurisdiction. They're trying to imply that it's both the might and the ethical right to do something.
So you're saying that's exoteric?
I don't even know what exoteric means.
Esoteric would be jurisdiction, just like the term, and then exoteric is explaining the function behind it, just basically what's behind it, like a seashell.
But like jurisdiction is just a label. It's not a physical thing at all.
Yeah,
it's not like I can weigh a jurisdiction. It's 3.5 pound jurisdiction. It's a label applied to a situation, right? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You're saying, I'm just saying, like, he told me the difference between esoteric and exoteric. Exoteric, it's like a fan. A fan is a fan. We all know what it does. I mean, okay, you say fan. That's the esoteric definition. But when you say a fan blows winds to cool us down, to do this and that, that's an exoteric meaning behind it.
Okay, we're talking about goals and functions. No, I'm still in esoteric land, I believe. So the word jurisdiction is a label applied. Now, the reason I apply that label is to get you to stop resisting me, right? So if I'm a court guy, judgy, and I say I have jurisdiction, I am using that label to try to get you to shut up about fighting me.
Yes.
And that's all that is. It's merely a label to get you to shut up.
I'm clear of this.
Now, if he just said, I have more guns than you, so shut up, argument about right and wrong. Because when they're talking about jurisdiction, the accusation revolves around right and wrong, not whether they have the power. If the only question is, does the court have the guns to back up what they say, the conversation's done. They clearly do. The whole trial would be, how many guns do we have? How many guns do you have?
Well, we have jurisdiction because this all happened on the corner of 1st and 2nd Street.
Yeah, and this legislature wrote this rule. And we are duly formed court. Blah, blah, blah. And these laws apply to you, and you broke them. Who has more guns?
Therefore, go to jail. 60 days. Bang! With a little hammer, like a 2-year-old.
He always explained things to me that I never do have like a deeper definition. Like, basically, when people like Lil Boosie, he would say, like, without that badge, you're a bitch and a half. And they say, fuck the police. He's basically saying, like, without that gun, you have no power over anybody. Like, the power is just...
And
it's just magical.
But the good table is, are they in the right or are they in the wrong? Because a cop can happen to be right. It happens. Coincidentally, they can be right. They can be wrong. They can be right. The question isn't answered by whether they have a badge or not. The question's answered by, are they doing good or are they doing wrong?
Yeah, he always got, just like, I can't remember what he explained to me, but multiple times it was to where, like, basic words would have such a deeper meaning and we never know. We just use them as just casually, like y'all breaking down words to me, like, okay, so what is jurisdiction? What is power? What is authority? Like, you never really, you just hear them and you just think they're that, but never really go into it, because he studies differently. He would literally, he gets a word and he gets a definition behind it, the meanings behind it, and he, like, if he doesn't understand something, he has to, like, if you see what he does to study is different. He studies differently. He learns differently.
Does he claim to be enlightened?
Enlightened? I'm not sure what that means.
Well, you called him enlightened earlier. So I don't know what it means.
I
according
didn't. I
to
didn't
him.
know what I was. I didn't know what I was using it for. Like I just. That's just what I've been told, and it means like just more. I would say more clearly thinking about what they're saying instead of reacting. They're like more responsive and responding to things instead of just like this is what it is. Like, but he
So
takes time.
maybe
to answer.
then, in the context we're using this word enlightened, it just means less programmed. Would that be fair enough?
Yes, that's what I was pointing at. Because being programmed, you're basically going to react to everything and not sit there and think about it and give an actual response.
All right. So where do you think we're all settled in now, in accordance with like moving forward with your quote unquote case?
Where do I stand?
No, I think I know where you stand. Maybe my question is, what's the next step?
Well, the next step to it would be to get back towards the script now that I have a better understanding of more.
Okay, let's
like,
say you do that. When you're at your next hearing, and all this goes down, and they say, "What do you mean by jurisdiction?" Hey, has a prosecutor provided any factual evidence regarding the element of jurisdiction as of yet? Yes or no? Well, it depends. What do you mean by jurisdiction?
Yeah, just because you know your definition doesn't mean you forget Socratic's, right? Socratic's is about asking them what they're saying.
Yeah, I definitely would. I think you're talking about on the lines of has the prosecution submitted any evidence on any elements of jurisdiction?
What do you mean by jurisdiction?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you mean? Has the prosecution presented any evidence that the laws apply to me, or have they
Okay, so do you mean to shit can your original question and pose a new one, or what are you doing?
Yeah, because asking the question again will never save you. That judge asked you, what do you mean by jurisdiction? And so in order to transition back to our path, we got to first respond on what he said very briefly, and then go back to our path. So it doesn't look like we're just avoiding and ignoring what he said.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by jurisdiction?
And if you had a question and you phrased it the way you want to phrase it, don't let him beat you into rephrasing your question. It's a real bad habit, and he'll love you for it.
Okay, so you asked me, the judge says, what do you mean by jurisdiction? It's a tough one because I'm not sure where to go with it, because you said, so we have to he asked you about what do you mean by jurisdiction?
Okay, let's
throw
say
out some thoughts.
Then you say jurisdiction. Then you say jurisdiction means well, it doesn't really matter what my definition of jurisdiction means.
Why not?
Because he has seniority. His opinion matters over everybody else's.
Why is that in this question? In this question that you just asked, why do you say that? Why does his opinion matter in your question?
Because he has the power in the courtroom at the moment. He's in a position.
I don't understand what you mean by
in
power.
A position. He's in a position.
Does he have a gun to you?
He does not have a gun, but he's in a position to do as he will.
So when I got the judge to dismiss all charges and I walked away a free man, who had power?
That would be you or me.
Okay, so what makes the difference between when I had power and you being powerless in that situation next?
So you're saying that I was not powerless?
I'm saying that the judge does not have all power, but he does if in your head he does. So whether you're right or whether you're wrong, you're correct.
I like where you're going with this.
The judge ain't got no power over you. That's in your head. Yes, he has guns and he has jail cells. Don't get me wrong. He has those things at his disposal. But power is something else, right?
Tell me how I separated myself yesterday. I literally had all this anxiety in my head. I had all this, because whenever I smoked, I would get a very big urge of anxiety. And when I stopped smoking, it went away. But I still kind of have it, and I push it away. But now I just tell myself, no matter what, I know my mind is free. No matter what is gonna happen to me, is like they can't do anything to me like mentally because I'm still gonna be there. Whatever they do to my
Yeah.
physical body, it's not gonna really matter.
That sounds great, man. But they have yet to do horrible things to you. And they probably could affect your
Yeah.
mind and body in ways that you wouldn't want or have any control over or much. I'm not trying to get deep like that. Although that sounds great. Sounds sexy. I'm just saying, in your head, no judge should have power over you. If we control the court of public opinion, then how much power does he have? That's the question I'm asking. I'm not saying I have all the power. I'm just asking a question. Because power is a relative thing. It can move, it can change. It's not defined by a gun and a jail cell. I mean, physically okay, but obviously you can come up with a bunch of instances from the past where guns and jail cells weren't enough. The will of those guns and jail cells didn't happen. I'm just asking you to reconsider your internal definition of power and jurisdiction and these
Authority.
assumptions, I guess. Because
Yes,
look, man, I'm going somewhere with this. Like, they need to see in your eyes. I mean, no. They need to see from your demeanor, from your actions, from your words, your tone, your rate, your speech, and your eyes. Yeah, that you realize this. That you are open to this. I'm not even going to say believe this or know this. That just you're open to this. That means you're outside their fear box, and that's a good place to be. So I just didn't want to have it in your head. Oh, well, they have power, so, I got to jump through some hoops and dance a little bit.
Here's a question, Joe, and let's discuss just for a second on this topic. Would you say that when you got into court issues, like you'd set up a program, right? You'd set up here's what's going to happen. I'm going to execute this plan, right? Good, bad, indifferent. I set up the rules in my head that I'm going to play by. And when I get to the court, it's just going down, and I'm just executing. I'm in execution, executing that mode. And so when they saw that trying to knock your plans out from under you didn't work, they stopped trying to knock your plans out from under you. Is that making sense? Am I phrasing that well enough?
100%. Let me put it another way. And I could give you examples. So when I first went in, when I first started all this, I actually pled guilty. I signed all the paperwork to get a public defender. I didn't know any better. I played the game. By the time I got out of it, you transition from a point of you go into court and now you're just nervous. Oh my God, are they going to call my name next? Oh no. Oh, I might be next in alphabetical order. Oh, I'm nervous. You shift from that until you walk in there and you're bored out of your skull. You wish your name was next because it doesn't matter what they say. You don't have to worry about what they say. They need to worry about what you are going to say. And over time, it becomes apparent that both people see that. Both sides see that.
Y'all trying to get me to kick the bully in his nuts so he leaves me alone.
Well, okay, that's cool. But verbally, I mean, not physically, but verbally. Because see, the power is in the verbal, in the words. It's not in the anger or the physicality of the situation.
No. In a sense, you want me to get that bully off my back and get that sense of what he might do something to me next out of my head.
I want you to dig as far as you can to the truth. Because like cockroaches, bullies run from that. Fuck this one bully. Excuse my language. Other bullies will come. They will play musical chairs with their bullies. And you need to be able to shine a flashlight on the entire situation, and therefore all cockroaches will run from you. And it's by being able to know the words that you use intimately. And so when imagine they have like a quiver of arrows on their back, and they might have like 20 arrows in there. and they'll fire them at you. Shing, shing, shing. The more you got a shield on or deflect them or bounce them off, and the arrows go flying right back. They may still have like 5 arrows in their quiver, but they're gonna be like, damn, every time I fire an arrow, it don't look good for me. So I'm gonna stop firing arrows. Recess, come back in 5 weeks, case dismissed.
I feel you. They're basically in life you're saying that people are gonna come at you and they wanna, it's not that they want, like you're saying, a judge, it's not like he wants to bully you, but that's basically his job.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying anything about life. And yes, judges do want to bully you. 100%. All I'm saying is by using skillful transitions back to logic, ethics, and actual reality, you will make it easy for the sheep around, either in the room or online, to easily digest what you're saying. And the judges will know this, and they will run from you in fear, more or less, if you're effective enough. How's that? But you got to know your words. If a word comes out of your mouth and you don't know it 100% top to bottom, you're probably going to use it incorrectly. Or when they try to clarify what you mean by it, which is just a challenge to your knowledge and what you're bringing to the table, if you can't immediately come back and slam them with it, it's just a little bit of a chess game. If you know your stuff, if you're prepared enough, you will smash them every time, and then they just get to know it. They get to know it so bad that they're like, damn, I don't want this case anymore. I'm going to pass it off to a lesser judge, but of course I'm not going to warn that lesser judge of what's coming at him. I'm just going to let them, surprise, and they run in fear, and the next one runs in fear, and the next one uses lines that you've heard here on the role play a million times, and you have the awesome counter again and again and again. They figured out, they threaten you with violence, you manage that skillfully, you don't get thrown in jail, and then they run in fear. I don't mean to make it sound too complicated. I'm describing an extreme. But this is the kind of public and political pressure game that you need to be willing to wage if you're going to really put it pedal to the metal and go all the way. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm just saying that's an option.
Basically, I've got a little scar from this, like a little, like we've always had like a scar implanted in our brains. It's basically like you said, law is a big umbrella term. And this one rapper, he says, I got tattoos on my face. I use that shit as motivation. I can never get a job, so my dream is dedicated. So this scar that I'm using, you're saying I basically need to, I've gotten like hurt from this, and I need to use this motivation for the rest of my life to just completely keep everybody from beat me up, and I just need to be make it to where I make it clear that I'm not gonna be preyed upon. Make it just, I need to be I guess somebody said, they want to make me a beast. I want to be make me give me that mindset to overcome all the challenges in my life.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. I'm not a judge to know whether or not that's right, but I will say this. It sounds like a mental construct of setting up if not a victim, a combat. And I don't find our power in thinking like that primarily, although that plays a role. I find our power in building the experience and confidence to actually go in there with a slight smile and mockery. It's comedy that I counter the tragedy with, because that convinces, again, the sheep behind you, and again, therein lies the power, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. So when the judges see that you can convince sheeple, they run. So you can put all the awesome glory words of this, that, and the other. To me, it's just get to the point where you're proficient enough to be effective enough to embarrass them in their house with their language and their referee.
I like how you said that little smile, that little mockery type smile, because that's what I visualize myself having when I go in there with all my confidence. I visualize myself doing that, having that little cocky smile that I do, like when I'm with females. Like I have that little smile. It's just like, yeah, motherfucker.
Did you say when you're a female? And yeah,
No,
motherfucker.
when I'm talking to females.
Oh yeah, okay, it makes more sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I visualize that same confident mock type smile, like you're saying, like having that ability to go in there and just beat them at their own game.
Well, yeah, it's just being 5 chess moves ahead when they're thinking 4. The less, I mean, as tempting and awesome as it feels, like honestly, the less ego you have in the game, the better. You hear ego in Gary's voice. The guy's just trying to talk some sense, as he understands it, just plainly. And if you got counters, bring it. But there's no like, this is what I think, and I'm stating the truth, and you got to believe what I believe. There's none of that. It's just, we're in this crazy life. Here we are in a crazy country where they just presume that they have the ability to rule, all based on all this bullshit, blah, 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 blah. Nonviolent victimless charges, cops with guns, police brutality, don't stand for the anthem, blah, 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 blah. How are the codes and statutes applicable to me? That's funny. To me, that's hilarious. That you can turn down the most powerful superpower humanity has ever known with such a question. That deserves a laugh in my book. And when you bring that to them and they see that in you, they know they're done. They're done. They rule the fear game. You have no fear. You're fully prepared. Ain't nothing they can do to you. Bailiff, point a gun at his head. Do we have jurisdiction? Smile. Yep, you do. Because I don't want to die. But in reality, everyone in the room knows you don't, whether they're saying it or not. That's the kind of, when they figure that out, like, you win. Even if you don't win, you win. That's the win.
I wish I could hug y'all guys. Like if y'all like my neighbors, I would hug y'all and I would like make y'all food. I mean, because like I don't have like I don't even hang out with none of my friends anymore because they always try to say, yeah, I wish somebody just needs to like come at you and like, you know, disprove you and do all this and like, I mean like, but like when most of the time when I talk, they can't do it. That's why they kind of envy me because I may sound smart, but y'all are saying like I sound smart to a dumb motherfucker. Like I'm not. That's basically what my friend always used to say to me. The one that enlightened me, basically, he said you sound smart to a dumb person. Like
now, here's a question on that, man. So wasn't it you that mentioned a few moments ago that you'd had 5 bars Xanax going into some trouble you're in at the moment, right?
Yes, 5 bars.
Now I can sympathize, man. I'm as libertarian as it gets, just about. But something in my life that it's while you're using, while you're having fun, your mental progress tends to slow down. All right.
Let me stop.
Most people I know.
We got pulled over.
Yep.
I was selling those. I do not take any type of pills. But I
thought you said you took. Oh, you mean literally you had them on you, not you had taken 5.
Yeah. I took them to prevent them from getting found.
Oh.
Yeah, I mistook that too. I thought this guy did 5 Xanax, ready to go into jail.
Well, and not just 5 Xanax, 5 times 5 bars. I'm like, fuck, how are you able to fucking... It's like, you won't remember this here, you know?
All right, so we're clarified now. We're clarified.
Okay. Shit. Because I'm like, dude, if you were on 5 bars, then you got some cleanup to do. before you're gonna be ready for this shit. But
I want to
okay.
see that video and that
At
mugshot.
that point, I just smoked weed. I smoked weed and like I did acid a couple times, which is very amazing.
And that's fine,
Hills
dude.
is dope.
You know, it's like you're. Let's put it this way: you're in good company. But
You're in good company.
but you got to remember, man, when you everybody I've known that started smoking weed too regularly, their progression stops. It's just on pause until they get, until they take a break. It's very difficult to progress mentally and escape mentally at the same time.
Boy, unless you're me, because I was stoned every day in Hawaii and I learned all this shit. I'm just kidding. It wasn't every day.
You had some development under your belt. I presume you haven't been a straight through pothead since you were 14.
No, of course not. And I'm joking.
Yeah.
I took breaks to totally role play and really get serious,
right.
of course.
But I mean, a lot of people I know, the age that they started smoking very regularly is the mental age they stayed at.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I mean, and again, this is near and dear to my heart, man. We're talking about father, friends, a bunch of people who you could gauge their mental age, sisters, the whole bit. You can gauge their mental age by when they started smoking routinely.
Do they ever get off of it and like, oh, I don't take a break for this. I'm being lazy here. I need to do something.
Most people who come to mind, no. My father was high pretty straight through from teenage years till he died.
Holy shit! What a life! What a winner! No, I'm just kidding. Like for real though,
It cost him a lot. It cost him a lot.
Sure it did.
I mean, I'm sure he had breaks in his life when he had to pass tests and stuff, but
yeah,
not really.
I'm telling you, those 5 Xanax bars have kind of scarred me for the rest of my life because when I took them that night, like I said, I didn't remember calling my fucking girl. I remember dialing the phone. I remember dialing the number, but I don't even remember talking to her. The next day, I'm like, damn, like, did I talk to her? I need to go talk to her. They put me in solitary because somebody told them that I took all those pills. And like, basically since then, I just kind of I've got my sobriety back because I stopped smoking almost 3 weeks ago. But those Xanax bars have been, they kind of fucked me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
I gotcha.
Because at that point, the last time I took a Xanax, I can't even remember. Like when I was younger, I maybe snorted a Xanax and a rotten mixed together, but I was young and dumb. But
nobody's judging you. Nobody's judging you. I mean, you're here, right? You're here talking about fighting judges in courts. You've done some things right. But at the same point in time, like we're just saying, this takes a sober mind.
Exactly. That's why I quit smoking, because I'm like, every time I would be high and sitting there thinking about my life and my future, I get a big urge of anxiety rush through me, and I just didn't like it. Like I was at a point
this stuff
with smoking, and then
it is tough to get your head around this stuff when you're high. It really is, man.
Although I will admit to, I mean, once you're on like arraignment attempt number 13, 14, 15. Dude, there were times where I would just light the fuck up and then go into court, and it was great.
Well, that's different. You already had your head around this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, at that point, I still
get back to a different topic.
All right. I got to mute out.
Okay, because somebody, what's his name? Gadsden Viper, he sent me the plea of not guilty, which I've already seen a couple times, actually. And then the motion to strike said something about my public defender. I think we kind of need to see what's up with my public defender.
Plea of guilty. It's plea of guilty. It's plea of guilty. Your intention is to plead guilty.
Okay, yeah, what did I say?
You said plea of not guilty.
Oh, shit, I don't know what the fuck I was saying.